This is the day we have been given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Happy Father's Day to all who are celebrating this day, and to those who are mourning fathers or fatherhood that might have been. We mourn with you. However you are feeling, and wherever and whenever you are connecting with us, we welcome you to church this morning. We are not in the sanctuary, but this is still church. For church is not the building, it is the people, and wherever we are gathered is sanctuary. Beth and I, like you, are connecting for these services from our homes with the help of Michael Feeney providing technical support and guidance from his home. And I hope you'll join Beth, Michael, and me after the service for what we still call coffee hour, though you have to supply your own coffee, tea, or juice. Our Sunday afternoon vigils for George Floyd and Black Lives Matter continue this afternoon at the church from 3 to 4 p.m. You're welcome to bring a sign or bring your own cardboard and come a little early and use the church's art supplies to make one. And please be sure to wear a mask. This is our last regular Sunday service. Next Sunday at 10 a.m., note the earlier time, we'll watch the live stream of the service from the UUA's General Assembly. This is always a powerful service, so I hope you'll be able to join us. And then we'll gather for a coffee hour time right afterwards to share our thoughts about it. Summer services begin on July 5th. For this summer, we're joining with other UU churches around New England. Each will take turn recording a Sunday service to share. So it's as if we're going to church together at a different church each week. It should be a lot of fun. The first service on July 5th will be led by Stephanie Schutz-Kelch, the minister of the Second Parish in Hingham. Stephanie's familiar to many of you, and she often provides pastoral care when I'm away. With this change in how we worship together, the parish committee wants to make sure that we keep our community connections over the summer. And so Carrie Borkowski is now going to tell you a little about what they're thinking.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see everybody this morning. So the parish committee met, and we just thought it might be quick and easy to put together a short survey to get a sense of what folks were interested in, both around coffee hour, whether it should continue on Sundays, or perhaps, in this new environment, think about another day where we want to get together. And then also, do we want to think about maybe having one outdoor gathering at some point this summer? So if you wouldn't mind taking a minute now, it will be circulated more later, but right now there's a survey in the chat box. If you wouldn't mind filling that out, that would be great, so we could make those decisions.
We're having a little silence right now to give you all time to take the survey. So another 30 seconds or so, at least maybe open the link on your computer so you can come back to it at the end of the service if you don't want to distract yourself now by taking the whole thing. So thank you, Carrie and the parish committee for doing that. Whether we are protesting or worshiping or sharing coffee and our thoughts, it is our covenant which ties us together. Michael will now unmute everyone so we can hear each other say the words. Love is the spirit
of this church,
and service
is
its
its law.
This is our
This
great covenant to dwell together
in peace,
to cherish the
living earth,
to seek
truth
truth
and love,
and to
help one another.
Today is our flower communion service, when we celebrate the gifts each of us brings to this community and the gifts each of us receives. Though this year has been a year like no other, and we have not been gathered into our beautiful bouquet for several months, yet the gifts have continued to be offered, received, and felt. Every year on this day, we read Lynn Ungar's poem for this celebration. I invite you to hold up your flower as I read it and to look around at one another. And if you'd like to do that a little more easily, I suggest that you change your screenshot view to gallery view so you can see each other. Flower communion. What a gathering, the purple tongues of iris licking out at spikes of lupin, the orange crepe skirts of poppies lifting over buttercup and daisy. Who can be grim in the face of such abundance? There is nothing to compare, no need for beauty to compete. The voluptuous rhododendron and the plain grass are equally filled with themselves, equally declare the miracles of color and form. This is what community looks like. This vibrant jostle, stem by stem, declaring the marvelous joining. This is the face of communion, the incarnation once more gracefully resurrected from winter. Hold these things together in your sight, purple, crimson, magenta, blue. You will be feasting on this long after the flowers are gone. Let us now carry the strength and beauty of this glimpse of community into our singing together. Let's sing, Come Sing a Song with Me. I invite you to join in with Beth.
Sorry, I guess I was muted. Let's try that again. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. That I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
As I get ready to light our chalice, I invite you, if you have a candle near you, to light yours. We light our chalice and all our candles this morning for the beauty and vibrancy of this community, for the way it warms us and inspires us and helps us to shine out into the world. Let's now sing the closing verses of Come Sing a Song with Me.
Come dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. That I know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring
time in the service when I invite those of you who would like to come down front and join me for some conversation. So imagine that you're doing that. And often those who gather down front are smaller, shorter people. And I would invite you, if you were here, to look around, because on this Sunday, we would have some young adults with us who are our seniors who have just graduated from high school, because this is the Sunday when we recognize them. And I can remember being one of the shorter people in the church I grew up in and looking at those seniors and thinking, I was never going to be that old. They seemed so grown up to me. And I bet they might seem that way to you who are not at their age yet also. But remember that you are going to get to be that age. And that as you get to be that age, you're going to have the gifts and the wisdom that they have. And one of the things I love about Unitarian Universalist churches, and especially this congregation, is the way people of all ages gather together. Churches lose their young adults. We tend to see ours coming for church, working with the youth, standing out in protests, leading us in protests. I think it shows the way we do honor and recognize the gifts and graces and wisdom of people of all ages. So usually we ask every year if the seniors would like to share a reflection on their time at First Parish, what they've learned, what they'll take away. Often some of them say no, they don't have time, or they don't feel comfortable getting up and talking. And this year, that's as usual. But Pia Bertola offered to share her thoughts. And so here's what Pia Bertola values and will take away with her from her years at First Parish.
Hi, my name is Pia Bertola and my mom is Lisa, and we've been part of the Unitarian Universalist Church, and I guess I don't remember the time. Hi, my name is Pia Bertola and my mom's Lisa, and we've been part of the Unitarian Universalist Church since I was born, I guess. I don't remember a time we didn't go. When I was younger, I always went to Sunday school, and as I grew older, I attended almost every Sunday with my mom, up until recently, but I think we're going to get back to going because we really miss it. I think the most important lesson that I've learned from the UU Church that I want to take throughout my life is to be accepting of everyone, no matter their race, gender, sexual orientation, or religion, even if it's different than yours. It's just more to learn from them, and it's more to appreciate that they've come from somewhere different, and that's something you can learn from and grow from. I think it's not our place to judge others based on how they choose to live their lives, because we don't know where they come from, we don't know what they've been through.
Technical problems. Yeah.
Try to understand it and
What's wrong?
hopefully become a better person on your own. I'm graduating Situate High School this year, and I'm going to be going off to Parsons Paris to major in art, media, and technology. And I'm really excited that the community I'm about to join is a lot more diverse than Situate. I feel like there's going to be a lot more to learn from, and that makes me really excited. My roommates are from all over the place, Hong Kong, Kuwait, and Toronto, and I just feel like it's going to be a whole different experience in a huge city that's really going to teach me about people who come from different places and who have had different trials, and it will just make me a better person because I'll be able to understand more about different cultures and appreciate them more. And I feel like that's something the world really needs, to like see other people who aren't like you and to learn to appreciate them just as much as you appreciate your own culture and your own religion and your own preferences, because you know it affects you how other people live, and like not in a negative way, like in a way that like can shape you to be a better person, because the more you understand about others, you know, the more you can help them, and that is the goal in life, to be the kind of person who can help others and to grow yourself so that you can live the best life possible. And
I know there were some technical issues with that. I'll be posting Pia's video on our Friends of First Parish private Facebook page, so you can see it and listen to it there. And part of our practice when our seniors leave us, or when our young adults do coming of age, is to present them with a chalice necklace. I've got one here to show you. This is the one that I'll be giving Pia this afternoon in our vigil o'clock. So if you're there, I hope you'll perhaps stand down and celebrate Pia as she goes off into the world with our love and our blessing. Let's move into our time of prayer by singing Sow Mercy. Beth's going to sing the verses, so we're only posting the chorus for us to join into. One of the ways we sow mercy and kindness and help them grow in ourselves is through our shared time of prayer and meditation. We begin this time by sharing our joys and our sorrows. I invite you, if you would like, to raise your Zoom hand, which is a little thing down in the dots. You can do that. Raise your Zoom hand if you'd like to share one. Type into the chat that you have one you would like to share, or type in the words you would like spoken, and Carrie Borkowski will read them for you. And after each one, I will place a stone in the bowl of water, symbolizing the ripples that go out from our shared joys and sorrows, and we'll say our response: may love abound. I invite you now to share your joys and your sorrows with the congregation.
So it looks like the Barz family is thankful for summer. It says Pamela, but I think it's your family.
It's Miles, Oliver, and Chuck.
Yeah.
So let's give thanks for summer. And let's say our response: may love abound.
May love abound. Ann Corbo is sharing that her joy is that let's see. Oh, sorry, I had to read the end. Patrick is sharing that he finished 4th grade. That is his joy this morning.
Congratulations to Patrick and to Matthew and to everybody else who is moving up a grade. May love abound. Kate Glennon asked that we remember Paula, Jewel, and Jeff Tersha, and everyone who is mourning somebody this Father's Day. May love abound.
Looks like Beth has something to share.
Well, I have a joy and sort of a concern. I'm happy that my husband and I were able to go see our daughter, who's been living in New York City. We socially distanced, but my husband David made put together a bicycle for her so that she can ride around New York City and her see friends and not have to get on the subway and not have to ride the shared bikes. And but she has been very concerned about Black Lives Matters, and she's been attending protests in the city and in Brooklyn. And of course, I'm proud of her for doing that, but it concerns me. The other night she sent me one. She said, "Okay, Mom, I'm all right," but a car drove into the protesters. So that scares me. But then she also sent me a beautiful shot of a very peaceful vigil where they were listening to speakers. So she said, "Don't worry, Mom, this is how it started." Peaceful vigil. So I have some mixed emotions, but I liked it. It's exciting. I'm proud of her, but I'm a little worried as a mother.
Thank you, Beth, for sharing that. Is it Sophie?
Yes, it's Sophie. Yes.
So for Sophie and for all who are protesting and for the power of their protests, we add our stone. May love abound.
Amelia is sharing that she has a joy that she got to spend a nice Father's Day with her dad.
For Amelia's joy and for the joy of all who are celebrating Father's Day, may love abound. Are there others? I place one final stone for the joys and sorrows present but unspoken among us. Let's say our unison prayer. We give thanks for being. We give thanks for being
Here.
We give thanks
Thanks
for
for
being
being
here together. Let us open our hearts to mystery. We stand at the peak of summer. The longest daylight of the year shines upon us. We know that we are headed towards those days of short light and long dark, but we rejoice in this time, in the light we have. May these days remind us that our lives are like that we have light given to us, and we need to enjoy it while we have it, that we need to make the most of the days which are ours, for joy, for work, and for love. We give thanks for this time of summer, a time of rest for all of us who have been in school, a time of rest even for those who are in more normal 9-to-5 work jobs, when life seems more open and possible, even in this time of pandemic. We give thanks for the ways our society is opening up, for the increased opportunities open to us, and we also pray that we may all remain safe, shielding one another and ourselves from the virus which is still out there. We pray for all who are living with that virus, all who have lost people to it, and all who are offering care and support, doctors, nurses, staff, so many people taking risks to heal and to cure and keep others safe. We give thanks for all these gestures of love in our world, for those who are out protesting, for those who are marching for pride, for Black Lives Matter, for the safety that our DACA young people have, at least for a little while longer. We hold in our hearts all the needs of this world, all the love that is in it, the love that often is not allowed outlet. And we pray that we may be bearers of love, uncoverers of love, sowers of love, of mercy, of kindness. In silence now, let us look into our own hearts and feel the love which grows there. Let us now continue our meditation, enjoying a video prayer the choir has made for us. It was wonderful to hear you all singing together, even though I know you weren't quite singing together. And thank you, Beth. It was Beth who not only coordinated it all and put together the tracks. You can tell I don't understand the technicalities of it, but she also found the images and put the music and the images together. So I know they're working on more of these for the fall, but thank you. It was really lovely to see and hear you all today. Norbert Čapek needed a ritual to bring his congregation together. Čapek was the minister of the Unitarian Church of Czechoslovakia, which he had founded with his wife Maya in 1921. A year and a half later, as he looked over his congregation, a mix of people of all ages, backgrounds, and classes, unlike any other congregation in the country, he wondered what he could do to celebrate all that this community had come to mean. Some people believed in God, some did not. Some were comfortable with Christian rituals, some were not. They were former Roman Catholics, Baptists, Jews, Lutherans, and Reformed. What could unite them? What could speak to them? Walking along a country lane one afternoon, he looked out over a field of flowers and saw in his mind his congregation, beautiful in their diversity. And so on June 4th, 1923, the ritual of flower communion was born. Čapek invited each member of the congregation to bring a flower and to place it in a vase in the sanctuary. The flower represented the beautiful and varied gifts each one of them brought to their common life. Čapek blessed the flowers and the gifts, and then at the end of the service, each person left with a flower different from the one they'd brought, symbolizing the gifts they carried each week back into their lives and the world from others in the church. In 1940, Maya Čapek brought this ritual to New Bedford, and it spread from there, so that many of our congregations at this time of year, even during a pandemic and Zoom worship, are still sharing in the flower communion. Perhaps because it has become a ritual, and making something a ritual is a sure way to stop thinking about it. We don't sense how radical and powerful this ritual was and still can be. Think about it. 10 years after that first flower communion, Hitler and the Nazi Party took power in neighboring Germany. All around these Czech Unitarians, the powerful were preaching against their good news of all people having gifts to offer and to receive from one another. In 1939, the Germans rolled into Czechoslovakia, and throughout, Čapek kept preaching the wonderful, unique gifts of every living being. Unitarians in this country, recognizing his danger, invited him to take refuge here, but he felt he was needed with his people. Maya Čapek did come over here in 1939 to raise awareness of what was happening and to raise money for their congregation and its resistance. When the Germans invaded, she was unable to return and spent the war here in New England as a minister of the North Unitarian Church in New Bedford. Because of his preaching, Norbert Čapek came to the attention of the Nazis. They brought him in for questioning, released him, but placed him under surveillance. On March 28, 1941, the Gestapo raided his home. They found him and his daughter listening to a BBC broadcast on a shortwave radio, which his congregation had given him to celebrate his 70th birthday. Listening to foreign broadcasts was a treasonous offense, and so were his writings and his preaching. They arrested him and sent him first to Dresden prison, and a year later to Dachau, with the note on his papers, "Return unwanted." In Dachau, he still kept preaching his belief that every person, with no exception, is an embodiment of God, and that our call is to express that divine power and love within ourselves, and to create the environment to allow others to express the divine power and love within them. Tradition holds that he even led a celebration of flower communion in the camp, with twigs and stones and scraps of wood instead of flowers. even there still perceiving beauty and gifts. A Roman Catholic priest who was imprisoned with him at Dachau said later, he achieved his greatest ministry there, among the despairing who lived in the very shadow of death. Without him, we could not have endured. But Čapek himself was not allowed to endure. In October 1942, he was killed. At Dresden prison, he wrote this prayer. In the depths of my soul, there where lies the source of strength, where the divine and the human meet, there, quiet your mind, quiet, quiet. Outside, let lightning rain, horrible darkness frighten the world. But from the depths of your own soul, from that silence will rise again God's flower. Return to yourself, rest in yourself, live in the depths of your soul, where the divine and the human meet. Tune your heart to the eternal, and in the depths of your own soul, your panting quiets down. Where the divine and the human meet, there is your refuge. Today, as we celebrate Flower Communion, we need Norbert Čapek's example, his metaphors, and his prayers. The good news of the inherent worth and dignity of all people is still suspect and dangerous. We cannot take it for granted. Its truth threatens the power structures of society. This simple ritual, an exchange of flowers, is radical. For our society does not value everyone's gifts or even recognize at all the gifts some have to offer. We don't create the space for all people to cultivate their gifts. Many don't acknowledge that they need the gifts of others. So as we move into our flower communion, I invite you first to think about the gifts you receive here. Have you learned to meditate? Deepened your understanding of the questions of existence? Grown in leadership? Been supported as you lived through grief? Found encouragement as you tried something new? Found new friends? I invite you now, if you would like, to name the gifts you received by typing them into the chat. You may continue to type in gifts for the remainder of the service, but I invite you now also, if you are able, to change your screen view to gallery so that you can see one another. So look around now. You've just named the gifts you've received. Look now at the people who gave them to you. Some of them, many of them, perhaps don't even know that they have given you these gifts. And remember that they've typed in gifts that you gave them, gifts probably you wouldn't recognize you offered to them. So look around now at the flowers your church family has brought as symbols of these gifts. Let your eyes settle on a plant or flower that someone is holding and imagine that that is the flower that you have selected to bring home with you. I invite you to contemplate that flower and the gifts of this community as I bless them and all of us with Norbert Čapek's prayer. In the name of Providence, which implants in the seed the future of the tree, and in the hearts of all the longing for people living in love. In the name of the highest in whom we move and who makes us and what we are. In the name of sages and great religious leaders who sacrificed their lives to hasten the coming of peace and justice, let us renew our resolution sincerely to be real family, regardless of any kind of bar which estranges one from another. In this holy resolution, may we be strengthened, knowing that one Spirit, the Spirit of love, unites us, and may we endeavor for a more perfect and more joyful life. And join me at home in saying, Amen. Let's celebrate our life together as we join Beth in singing our closing song, Right Here. All we need, all we need, all we need is right here. Remember that wherever your journey takes you, the love which sustains us and carries us and connects us is always right here. May that love shine within you. May that love shine from without you. And may that love shine out from you into all the corners of our world. Go in peace and in joy, carrying that love right here.
Thank